Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the Fitchburg Access Television 20th Annual Boulder Awards celebration, where tonight we honor the former Mayor of Fitchburg, the Honorable Lisa Wong. I've seen her, I know she's here. This is also our 16th annual celebration of our member volunteers, and this year we've taken a bit of a different route. We will present 3 Lifetime Achievement Awards to 3 folks who have dedicated a great deal of their time and their lives to community television and specifically to Fitchburg Access Television. We'll begin by thanking Neil Dennehy and the staff here at the Oak Hill Country Club for a great job. They host us every year, and it's been fantastic. We'd also like to thank Hildy Schilling and the Fitchburg State University Chamber Musicians. To Amy Green of our Board of Directors, who took care of the centerpieces. Eric Baird, who is handling our photography tonight. And Ann Bisbee, managing tickets, reservations, and basically keeping everyone in line. He does a very good job of that. We welcome this evening State Senator Jen Flanagan, State Representative Stephen Hay, Fitchburg Mayor Stephen DiNatale, former Fitchburg Access Television Executive Director Dave Svens. That's why we bring him back. He's very popular. John Morrison, the owner of WPKZ Radio and the Wachusett Dirt Dogs. Superintendent of Schools Andre Ravenel. The President of the North Central Mass Chamber of Commerce, Roy Nascimento. And unfortunately, we had invited and expected to see former Fitchburg State University President Bob Antonucci, but Bob has taken ill and was unable to attend this evening. I know but he'll be okay. I'd like to also thank the Board of Directors of Fitchburg Access Television for their continued support of the staff and really for being the foundation of growth for FATV. From Inside Fitchburg to Discussing Fitchburg Now, Weekly Wellness, Chess Chat, these are all programs that the board themselves produce. And a special congratulations tonight to George Merijanian for producing the 100th episode of Chess Chat last November. Our City, Sports Weekly, I Sing Because, Holiness Unto the Lord, to the hands-on support of our many field production events. This Board of Directors continues to lead by example. It's that kind of volunteer commitment that makes FATV the success that it has been and will continue to be. Which brings me to the staff of FATV, my colleagues, my friends. They represent the future of this very successful organization. Travis Falk, he's our production technician. He handles literally all of the technical aspects of FATV. He also introduced and produces the very popular bowling show, King of the Palace. He consults with me and the Board of Directors in all of our equipment purchases, and he's also the pilot of our Honda Pilot. Tim Doust is our education coordinator and our face in the schools and our representatives with the youth of the community. As we strive to grow our volunteer base and involve younger people in the work that we do, Tim is the lead person in making this happen. He does an outstanding job. As an example of his hard work and commitment to the position, was the introduction of a television studio class this past fall at Fitchburg High School, based on curriculum that Tim wrote himself. And during the year, Tim has also expanded those efforts into Memorial and Longjo Middle Schools, South Street and Crocker Elementary Schools. He works closely with Fitchburg State University for the FATV hosted multi-camera course every fall. And he also works closely with the Boys and Girls Club, with the Cleghorn Neighborhood Association, and the Shriver Job Corps. Tim Dust. I'm glad that's all he does because I ran out of space on that page. Ann Bisbee is our operations and program coordinator. She handles all of our program scheduling, our public service messaging board announcements. She works closely with Teresa Roberts, our accountant, and me on the weekly bill paying and bookkeeping. And she also assists me in all of our outreach efforts with different businesses in the community. She consults regularly with our program producers on schedules and guests, and is also heavily involved, along with Tim, in our social media marketing, promotion, and communication campaigns. And Bisbee. Dave Oster, old man, came to FATV last fall as a full-time intern from Fitchburg State University. His skill set and his work ethic proved to be invaluable, and he was hired as a full-time employee the first of this year. Dave is our utility player. He supports the technical side of truck events and works closely with Travis on that. He supports Tim in the schools, and he adds to our depth from a production and post-production standpoint. He operates cameras, he directs, he edits. He's taken on weekly production support of Inside Fitchburg and Sports Weekly, and he's also in the midst of creating a new magic show for FATV, which you will be hearing more about soon. He's not the magician. He's the magic man behind the scenes. Ty Dorsey is another Fitchburg State University student currently taking classes at Fitchburg State. He began working part-time for FATV mid-August of last year. He manages the facility Monday through Thursday evenings and Saturday mornings. He is a skilled camera person, director, and he's developed a great interest and skill in production lighting techniques and has implemented several of those ideas on many of our weekly studio programs. Ty Dorsey. Jared Roberts, who is behind the camera tonight, is also a student at Fitchburg State. He takes care of all of our city council and school committee meetings and is also a regular volunteer in both the studio and field production for FATV. I mentioned Jared's mom, Teresa Roberts, who works for the Chamber of Commerce, and she is our accountant and unfortunately was ill tonight and unable to attend, but she's been with us for several years, and we frankly couldn't do the work without Teresa's involvement. It's now my pleasure to introduce the president of the board of directors of FATV, Bill Gates.
I'm going to introduce the band anyway because for several years now they've volunteered to be here, and it's quite a bit of work to come in and set up and play for that half hour and then have a meal and go home. So there's a tremendous amount of work for them, but the Fitchburg State Community Orchestra musicians who's practice an awful lot to know their music, and it takes a tremendous amount of work to attain the musicianship that they have. There was Hildy Schilling on violin, Daniel Landry on violin, Summer Silverman on viola, Mary Bassett on cello, Haley Schilling on cello, Solveig Schilling on clarinet, Brenda Schilling on piano, and Jesse Bassett on percussion. One of the wonderful things about tonight and being at such a special place is Oak Hill, we celebrate with all the people who make FATV one of the best access stations of Massachusetts. I was going to say the #1 Massachusetts access station with Bob Antonucci was going to be here, but hopefully maybe he'll get to watch this. On behalf of the board of directors, I want to thank the FATV staff, Scott May, Ann Bisbee, Travis Falk, Tim Doust, Dave Oster, Ty Dorsey, Jared Roberts, and Teresa Roberts for all that they do. FATV is a multifaceted, unusual business volunteer organization whose work is geared towards getting our message out, working together for a better community. To help those who want to experience the world of television through access. And also, I want to specifically thank Ann Bisbee for all her work putting this evening together. Thank you, Ann, so very much. Done a wonderful job. I would like to recognize our volunteer board of directors, whose commitment to FATV is evident in the many years most of our directors have served. But more importantly, you'll hear their volunteerism that goes far beyond their commitment to the board. If you would please stand as I call your name. Glenn Fossa, Vice President. Glenn is also the producer, director, and host of Our City. John Dextres, Secretary. John is the director for so many of our truck events: Fitchburg State University, FHS football, Thayer Symphony Orchestra, graduations. Those are just to name a few of the truck events that John works. Amy Green, treasurer. Also, Amy is Ward 1 counselor. She's vice president of the city council and host of Weekly Wellness. Howard Shad. Howard is one of our favorites. Pastor of Lighthouse Church of God and host of Holiness Unto the Lord. Arthur Collins, who I don't think is here tonight. Art is director of media services at Mount Wachusett Community College. Also works TV for Comcast Sports with the Celtics and the Red Sox, and also does the Patriots with the Kraft Group. And Art is a tremendous asset to FATV. Alexandra Cardinale. It's close, Cardinale Di Natale. Alexandra is Assistant Director of Admissions at Fitchburg State University and host of Inside Fitchburg. Alex Bogdasarian. Alex is with Great Wolf Lodge Resort and also co-host of Sports Weekly Barrett and Boggs, and also is an honor personality with Fitchburg State University football. Sam Squalia. Sam is an architectural engineering designer at McKenzie Engineering. She's an owner of Rustic Craft Designs and host of Discussing Fitchburg Now, both on FATV and on Facebook. George Marjanian. Besides being just a wonderful man, he belongs to the Massachusetts Chess Association, Wachusett Chess Club, a former writer for the Sentinel and Enterprise, and host of the internationally recognized program Chess Chat. It is with this support and commitment from the board of directors and staff that FATV heads into another year of delivering a positive message to all our viewers. It is with this positive message we hope our viewers will be committed to local organizations, get involved, and be active members of the community, and be a positive force in Fitchburg's renaissance. Thank you.
Our first series of awards this evening also represents a first for FATV. The Lifetime Achievement Award represents a long-term commitment to FATV as a volunteer, program host, or member of the board of directors, or all of the above. It literally represents years of volunteer service and dedication to the growth and success of Fitchburg Access Television. Presenting our first Lifetime Achievement Award this evening is our Operations and Program Coordinator, Ann Bisbee.
Our first Lifetime Achievement Award winner is Barbara Foster. I think all of you know that Barbara just celebrated 40 years of the Barbara and You Show. I think many of you were there. Barbara has interviewed celebrities, authors, artists, athletes, politicians, and probably everyone in this room at least once. Barbara always thinks that we or you have a story to tell, and she always convinces you to come on her show and share it. Even if you're reluctant, she gets you to come on. Many of her guests will say, "I'm so nervous, Barbara. I've never been on TV." But she starts talking to them, and the next thing they say is, "It's over?" That's Barbara's skill. She makes everybody feel so comfortable, and they always come back. So Barbara, would you like to join me for the first Lifetime Achievement Award? Barbara Foster.
Thank you so much. I won't talk long, but I have to say a few words. One thing Ann didn't tell you is she interned on my show when she was in college. And I just want to thank everyone at FATV. I'm still flying high from last Tuesday's 40th anniversary. But you know, when you receive a Lifetime Achievement Award, it's a little bit scary, and I just want you all to know it ain't over yet. I have another year of shows booked, okay? Thank you.
Presenting our second Lifetime Achievement Award this evening is a member of the Fitchburg Access Television Board of Directors and host of Inside Fitchburg, Alexandra Cardinale.
So I have the privilege and honor of presenting Mrs. Joanne Hughes with her Lifetime Achievement Award. Yay. Working together for a stronger community. This is the credo of Fitchburg Access Television. It encompasses the spirit of our city and its residents, or citizens. Folks taking a look around, giving sincere thought to what they can do to improve the place that they call home is what moves communities forward, and Joanne Hughes is a shining example of this thought and sincerity. I'm going to give you a little history, I guess, because I asked you for it, Joanne. So it did all begin in the mid to late 80s. Joanne became involved in efforts to build a new Fitchburg high school. And through these efforts, she connected with fellow FATV legends, Billy Gates and Ken Jones. And they, along with pioneers Bob Wilson and Paul Whelan, were passionate about promoting all the positive things happening in the city. And what better way to do so than through television? Right? So after taking some introductory equipment courses, which are free to members, friendly reminder, free classes, Joanne began volunteering at the Fitchburg High sporting events because they were now being aired live. So she dedicated her time to that. And soon thereafter, she volunteered for Bill's show at the time, which was Class Action, which I love that name. That's such a good name. So that was a program that showcased all the good things happening in the Fitchburg Public Schools. And soon thereafter, they thought, why not turn the show into something showcasing all the good things happening in the city of Fitchburg, not just the public schools. And henceforth, Inside Fitchburg was born, and the rest, they say, is history, right? So for over a decade, Bill and Joanne brought positivity and information to Fitchburg's viewers. They sat down with local politicians, community activists, students, educators, business owners, anyone lending a positive or, helpful hand to the city. And rather than grill guests with questions, they had conversations, getting to the heart of their cause and providing the viewer a fun and informative experience. And last year, I had the privilege and honor of being asked to step in and help out with Inside Fitchburg, co-hosting with Joanne. And thank you for that opportunity. I still am so grateful for it. I had been a fan for years of Inside Fitchburg, and as a newer board of directors member, I was really interested and appreciative to have the opportunity to see what a live show was really like down at FATV. I had never really been a part of that before. But during this time as Joanne's co-host, I was able to witness firsthand her grace, her kindness, and her caring spirit. She has an instant rapport with her guests. That I can tell you, it doesn't come easily to have kind of an instant connection and calmness with folks when they have you on, when you're on TV. So that was something that I really appreciated and admired and tried to take mental notes. So she acknowledged all the topics that was discussed and it was great, lively conversation, but she truly listened to her guests, gave them the spotlight, but she kept the conversation in the discussion on point, on task, all things that take talent. So Joanne remains to be a pillar in the Fitchburg community, and is a former Boulder Award winner, actually, 2004. She was nominated, or she was honored with the award. So, Joanne, it is my honor and, once again, my privilege to offer you the Lifetime Achievement Award on behalf of Fitchburg Access Television.
And presenting our final Lifetime Achievement Award this evening is our Education Coordinator, Tim Doust.
Thank you, Scott. Salutations. Stuart Robert McDermott goes by many names. Stu, Bob, Stu Bob. He began at FATV at the turn of the century, became secretary of became secretary of the board of directors, and then later became treasurer and served as such for the past 10 years. He met his lovely wife, Jeanette, working together at the James H. McManus restaurant on Main Street here in Fitchburg. They were married on January 19th, 1951, and I mention this because behind every great man is a great partner and family, and I can attest to this. I've been friends with the McDermotts for almost 20 years, and I have to say that there's no one kinder and more generous than they are. There's more. He graduated from Fitchburg State College in 1958 with a Bachelor's of Science and became a faculty member in 1960, earning a master's degree in 1962, supervising student teachers. Simultaneously, for 20 years, he worked for General Electric here in Fitchburg as planning and purchasing for assembly. He worked for General Electric for 40 years, starting in 1949 and retiring in 1992, becoming the highest paid and highest earning hourly worker, as far as I know. Over his career at FATV, he's worked with 6 different executive directors. Bob brought to the board a financial and business experience like no other. There's no doubt in my mind that FATV, or Fitchburg Access Television, wouldn't be what it is today without the experience that Bob brought to the table as treasurer. Along with his volunteer work on many shows, including Barbara and You and Inside Fitchburg, he was always there to help with truck events. Along with this extensive work history, Bob has been an integral player in the community as being part of many organizations like the Montechusett Exchange Club. He's on the board of directors for the Adult Learning in Fitchburg Alpha program at Fitchburg State, treasurer of the Central Mass Postcard Club for 7 years, member of the board of directors for Our Father's Table, editor of the Central Massachusetts, and forgive me if I mispronounce this, deltiologist? Close enough, you can say it, for the past 20 years. The list goes on, and I'm sure I've missed some. However, if you'd like to see a list of Bob's achievements and organizations that he's a part of, I have 3 filing cabinets outside with binders, and Bob, I've organized them chronologically and alphabetically. Come on up here. Bob, you're one of my favorite people in the world. You're a friend and a mentor. I can't think of anyone else who deserves this more than you. So here with your Lifetime Achievement Award, please come up.
Tim's right. I started at FATV in the last century. And I succeeded Julius Lindstedt as secretary. And in 1999, Bill Gates was elected to the board of directors. And I have that in the minutes of my secretary's report for that year. That's why I know it was 1999. And then I've watched through the years I don't know if it's permissible, but anyway, this is more than $1 million corporation now. And the thing that I enjoyed the most, other than being treasurer, which is terrific, was the fact of working evenings with youngsters. And they would be in the with Bill Gates and with Barbara in their shows. And these were youngsters that weren't old enough to drive, so their mothers or fathers brought them to the studio. And these people we trained them to direct the shows, to be in charge. And every one of these youngsters during the years is today very successful, and a lot of them are still here in this room. And that was the part I enjoyed the most. And the other thing about being involved every Thursday and Friday nights and others, that I got to meet everybody in the city of Fitchburg who ever made a contribution, because they all have appeared on FATV in one of the programs that we're here. But thank you for the award. And I should have stayed on the board instead of retiring.
Next, we have the 16th annual presentation of our member awards. These are volunteers who we honor as overachievers for FATV, those who have been stars in their own right and contributed above and beyond to the quality programming presented by FATV. Our first award is for Personality of the Year. And to make the presentation is the Vice President of the Board of Directors and Executive Producer of Our City, Glenn Fawcett.
A couple of recognitions. We talked an awful lot about mentoring tonight. In 2003, retired Chief of Police Ed Cronin asked me if I'd like to be part of FATV as part of our ongoing community engagement with the Fitchburg Police Department. I am thrilled to see that my brothers here today, Chief Ernie Martineau, Captain Steve Giannini, Lieutenant Harry Hess, and Detective Sergeant Tom Doust is here as well. So thank you for coming. It's a big deal. Our city began on the Gus Johnson baseball field when then very, very young Liz Burke, daughter of my classmate at Fitchburg High School, John Burks, indicated she would like to do something sometime on television. And Liz and I actually started doing some 8mm tape filming, and that became the baseline for what has now become Our City, sort of a news chronicle of current events in the city of Fitchburg. So it's fitting to sort of mention the folks over the years, in the past 10 years or so, involved in that, and they would be Liz Burke, Danielle Jennison, Marta Giannetti, Renee Turigny, Merrick Henry, Jackie Barry, Tom Landry, Macy Woodard, and Bethany Burgalt. All of those folks are probably familiar names in one way or another. We know the families, or we know those folks. And as the previous speakers have alluded to, this is all about opportunity. And our most recent host is nothing short of remarkable, incredible achievements all the way along. And we are proud to give this award tonight to the Our City host on-air personality, Stephanie Allison. And I'm going to stand on the fireplace part here because it's a little higher.
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has made this possible. Working at FATV, or volunteering rather, has been a great blessing. Like, I've gotten to meet so many amazing people and get to know the real city of Fitchburg, and I couldn't have asked for better people to work with and a greater opportunity. Thank you, everybody.
Our final member award is the Romolo Testamata Award, presented to the Volunteer of the Year. John Gugarty has been volunteering for FATV for more than a decade, and is a former member of the Board of Directors. John is a skilled director, camera operator, graphics designer, and play-by-play personality, and in spite of a full-time job and residence in Springfield, he makes himself available whenever possible for many of our field production events. It gives me great pleasure to present John with the Romolo Testamata Award as FATV's Volunteer of the Year.
10 years ago, I was on a bus coming back from Mount Wachusett, and my friend Jermaine said to me that I had to check out FATV, that Mark Rocheleau, the executive director there, was a great guy. And he was right, and I've loved every second of it since then. Like Scott said, it's been 10 years. I hope it's going to be 10 and then 10. I'm going to be here for a while, is what I'm getting at. I grew up in Marlboro, and my family lives in Orange and North Adams. And like Scott said, I live and work in Springfield. But Fitchburg is my home, and FATV is the reason why. Thank you very much.
The first 5 months of 2016 have been a transitional period for both our next speaker, Fitchburg Mayor Steve DiNatale, and our Boulder Award winner, Lisa Wong. Lisa, of course, chose to leave public life to concentrate on her domestic life and to consider her next career path. Steve opted to continue his long career in public service, from school committee member to city councilor to state representative, to take on the much more demanding challenges of mayor and CEO of the city of Fitchburg. In some ways, their challenges have been very similar. Steve, unknown to most people here in the room, including Joanne, has been taking skydiving lessons. Or as Johnny Carson used to say, if you buy the premise, you'll buy the bit. So, a few weekends back, on a beautiful Saturday in April, Steve was ready for his first solo jump. And he drove out to the jump school in Orange, boarded the plane, got to the jump altitude, and out he went. And as he started to fall, he thought to himself, I can't believe I'm doing this. And he pulled his ripcord, and nothing happened. And he pulled it again, and it failed to open. So he went to his emergency chute. And he pulled that ripcord and nothing happened. And he tried again and again. And as he was falling toward the ground, he noticed something coming up toward him. And he realized it was another person rising up toward him. And he recognized Lisa Wong. And he said, Lisa. And as they passed one another, Steve yelled out, Lisa, do you know anything about parachutes? And Lisa said, no. Steve, do you know anything about gas stoves? It now gives me great pleasure to introduce the skydiving mayor of the city of Fitchburg, our good friend and former Boulder Award winner, Steve DiNatale.
What the heck was that? Lisa, where did he get that one? You really took some time on that, Scott, huh? Well, I don't know. What do I say? Lisa and I had a conversation. She said to me way back, "You're going to love it," and she was right. And I think she loved it as well and gave 8 years of her life to public service. What I've learned, I know Representative Hay will probably learn the same thing. It's a different job. Public service is always rewarding. Senator Flanagan knows this as well. You've been senator now, what, 30, 40 years? She became the youngest senator in Massachusetts at the age of 12. But you know what? It's also a particularly the mayor's position. In the few short months I've been in it, it can be a very, very difficult job as well. So I don't, I know going in that, we were partners over the years. I was rep for 9 years. Lisa was the mayor for 8. So we had to work closely like we do with the delegation. And again, it's rewarding and it's special when we can say thank you from a grateful community and even more importantly, a grateful city. And you've seen a couple of these, Lisa, I know, Fitchburg citations. And I'll read it. Be it hereby known to all that the city of Fitchburg hereby offers its sincerest congratulations to Lisa Wong in recognition of being honored with the prestigious FATV Boulder Award for your outstanding contributions to civic life through the use of public communications. The entire citizenry extends its very best wishes on this memorable, we're hoping it's a memorable occasion, and expresses the hope for continued good fortune. And it's given this 9th day of May. Congratulations, Mayor.
And now my pleasure to introduce our state senator, Jen Flanagan. Jennifer.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, for the record, it's been 8 years that I've been a senator. 20 years in public service. Thank you so much for being here today. This is actually a true honor to be here and to honor my friend. Someone who, when she started renovating her house, we would hang in every nook and cranny that wasn't being renovated at the time. But also someone who became sort of a partner in crime. I don't think it was because we were both young, and I don't think it's because we were both women. I think it's because we were both determined to make it work, and make it work in a difficult field of politics. They say that your award is for outstanding contributions to civic life through the use of public communications. And the one communication that I don't think most of you know that we shared was that first day of the ice storm when I got a phone call saying, Unitil's not responding. And I said to her, then let's call a press conference. Why not just threaten them? And then became my 2 weeks at the Fitchburg Fire Department with the then mayor. And through public use of communications, we tried to find every communication possible that could get through to people with no power. Talk about an amazing feat. And when we were in the basement of the fire department and our phones weren't working, we were in the stairwell. And then we were upstairs with police details because people were mad at us. And then we were in the shelters. And that really is a testament as to what kind of a mayor Lisa was and the kind of commitment that she had to the city of Fitchburg. Because I will be honest with you, I lived in a condo in Leominster with underground utilities. I didn't lose power and had no idea what people were talking about with this ice storm. So the first call that I got really set the tone, I think, for the time that Lisa and I spent together serving Fitchburg, especially before I was elected. So it's such an honor for me to be here tonight, not only to honor you with the Boulder Award from the Senate, but to be able to publicly say thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your partnership. And more importantly, thank you for taking care of the people of Fitchburg. As difficult as it may be at times, you did it with grace. So on behalf of the Massachusetts State Senate, I want to offer you an official citation that you've probably seen these before but never signed them. Yeah. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Lisa Wong in recognition of your unparalleled service to the city of Fitchburg. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends best wishes for continued success, that the citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate, signed by President of the Senate Stan Rosenberg, Clerk of the Senate William Welsh, and myself, given on this day, May 9th, 2016. Congratulations.
Our next speaker is a man who has developed an odd habit of continually filing election papers over and over again. Our newly elected state representative, Stephen Hay.
I'm just glad you didn't have a joke about me, Scott. I'll be brief. The award is for outstanding contributions to civic life through the use of public communications. Well, I can tell you that Lisa Wong, as our mayor, communicated and listened to the residents of Fitchburg as well, if not better, than anybody who'd held that seat before her. her use of FATV and their willingness to partner with her to bring communication to the city and to the residents, everything from when we had snow days off to school programs that were going on to anything else that the mayor needed to get the word out to the residents of Fitchburg. The first place that she turned to was FATV. They were willing to assist and help her with that, and she did a spectacular job in reaching out to the residents and communicating to them. And it was a brave new world. It hadn't happened before. You know, we used to read the Sentinel, or somebody would give you a telephone call, and now we could look at the TV and learn about the ice storm and what was going on, and learn about the football games and when they were and what was going on. And I think that is something that this mayor started. Mayor DiNatale is following in those footsteps, and every mayor from now on will be doing it, and all of them will owe a debt of gratitude to Lisa Wong, and she's certainly deserving of the Boulder Award. And on behalf of the House of Representatives, I'd like to say congratulations, Lisa. Thank you.
This year, the 11th annual Bob Wilson Scholarship Award was conferred during Fitchburg State University's 39th annual Honors Convocation on April 21st. Tonight, we offer our congratulations to the award winner, Kylie Acevedo. Kylie? Our final speaker of the evening is the former executive director of Fitchburg Access Television, our good friend and my great buddy, Dave Svens.
Yeah.
Go get him.
Well, this is going to be ugly because what happened was, first of all, congratulations, Lisa, Boulder Award, and you're amongst great company. A couple of weeks ago, I got a call from Scott, and I was thrilled because he asked me if you could say a few words or speak on behalf of Lisa at the Boulder Award, and I was thrilled. So I went to work doing that, and I borrowed a 3-ring binder from Bob McDermott, and inside joke there. But anyway, so I was working on it, and then a day or two ago, Scott called me up in Maine, which is where I am now. How's that speech coming? And I said, pretty good. I said, got the 3-ring binder. And he said, what do you mean 3-ring binder? I said, well, you said I had to speak for 35 minutes. He said, you idiot, Svenzo. I said 3 to 5 minutes, not 35 minutes. So, that's it, you know. I threw the binder away, and then, of course, I get here tonight, and Scott says, Bob Antonucci's not coming.
You're it.
I'm it. So anyway, I go back to the beginning with Lisa and her arrival in the great city of Fitchburg when she came to June. You know, I always got mixed up the Redevelopment Authority and the IDC. I think Michael Lanava did too, but anyway. Anyway, Lisa came to work, and I used to hang around. Mike was a good friend, and Katrina, who worked in the office, and so I got to meet Lisa right off the bat, and could tell right away she was sharp. She knew what she was doing, and of course we all know what she did there: Riverfront Park and Putnam Place. A little bit after that. There was a group of us, and many of them are in the room here tonight, that used to meet every Saturday at Design at 639, which was Amy Newberg's funky little store there across from the Fay Club. And we would talk about everything, eat food, but it always came down to the status of what is happening in the city of Fitchburg. And Lisa would be, wasn't there every week, but she'd pop in every now and then. Well, what happened was Lisa eventually left the Redevelopment Authority and took a job, and we never really knew what it was that she was doing, but she did tell me one time that she was using her degree in international economics and was working with this brilliant Italian man named Ponzi. And apparently it worked okay for a while, but after that it didn't work out so well. So she came back to Fitchburg, and the Design at 639 group continued to meet, and we got to get Lisa into politics. So there was a city council opening. I don't know if it was Ward 4, I forget. But so we said, let's convince Lisa to run for that council seat. So one day Lisa showed up, and we were before we could even throw this at her, she said, I'm running for mayor. So, of course, we were thrilled. And but the reason we didn't think she was going to do it is because she wasn't really a politician, and she actually got things done. So anyway, ba-dum-bum, yes. Well, anyway, when she announced, and of course, the naysayers out there were, here comes the opposition, and they were saying she was an outsider, she was just building her resume, and she wouldn't stick around. She wouldn't probably stick through the first term. But the big one was she doesn't live here. Remember that? Yeah. So, and of course I knew, and a lot of people in this room knew, because, like Jen Flanagan had been renovating her house down. But anyway, so I did a little digging just to come up with some actual proof that she does indeed live in the city of Fitchburg. And, of course, I found that. Didn't have to look very far. But I found some other stuff, too, which I didn't tell anybody about until tonight. I mean, the statute of limitations, been over 8 years. And we've been, we were all under the assumption that, Lisa is the daughter of Chinese immigrants and grew up in Andover, Massachusetts. And, there's a little problem, because she actually, what I found out, she grew up in Kenya with Barry Obama. And her real name, by the way, is not Lisa Wong. It's Lee Wongarama. Anyway. Anyway, as we all know, Lisa won. And they were right. She didn't stick around for that first term. She stuck around for 4. Unbelievable. And an amazing 8 years it was. And we all remember when Chronicle came to town. Channel 5's Chronicle and did a story on Fitchburg. And it was very early in your first term. And it was amazing. And I was looking at it the other day. And one of the people they had on there was a professor from UMass Lowell who specialized in looking at urban cities, mill cities, was what it was. And they were talking about the things that Lisa was planning and what she wanted to do. And he said, if she can do that, she should be president. Well, perfect year for it. Perfect year for it. And she already, even when she was mayor, she was doing some presidential things. Not too many people know about this. Of course, the big thing in November is the Fitchburg-Leominster football game, and great tradition, goes back to 1894. But sometimes there's a little hanky-panky that goes around, a little graffiti and back and forth. And so Lisa was wondering how she could maybe bring this down to zero, actually. So she proposed that they build, the day before Thanksgiving, and build a wall on Route 12 to keep those Leominster people out until the game was over in Fitchburg. And she even called Lenny Laxo at DPW and said, Lenny, can you build this wall for me? And he says, I can. I'm saving the budget for the snow season. She said, well, don't worry about that, because Mazzarella's going to pay for it. Well, I'm not going to say two words that you're probably all waiting for tonight. In closing, Lisa, congratulations. You're in great company, as we mentioned, and some former members here tonight. I'm grateful. I am grateful that you had that unwavering support for FATV, which is very near and dear to my heart. Very grateful that I can call you a friend. And I'm grateful that somehow, whether it was through Andover or Kenya, you ended up in Fitchburg and poured your knowledge, your wisdom, your blood, sweat, and tears, and heart and soul and love into the city that I love. And for that, I thank you.
It's time for what we've all been waiting for.
I forgot.
So did I. Presentation of the Boulder Award. Once again, our president, Bill Gates, over here.
Oh. It's been wonderful to hear and share some of those behind-the-scenes stories of Mayor Wong's involvement with Fitchburg. And all too often, we never know just what commitment and energy it takes to lead. How many of us knew that she earned 3 degrees by the age of 20? Elected mayor at 27, the first minority mayor in the city of Fitchburg, the first Asian American woman to ever hold a position in Massachusetts. Lisa used her energies to focus on the city, to shed a light on the positives and the negatives. She never shied away from the negatives. She helped us celebrate the positive and worked tirelessly on plans to rid the city of the negatives, increase the city reserves, and in the middle of that, she found a soulmate, a city councilor, Anthony Soto, and quite remarkably carried on a 3-year relationship between 2 cities, 2 careers, and 1 dog named Cooper. Through it all, she never seemed to skip a beat. She was a frequent guest on shows at FATV, taking the time for questions, engaging the community with honest observations of what she believed and how she was going to get it done. Whether you believed in her or not, you couldn't help but marvel at the enthusiasm and boundless energy. And one of the things that I particularly loved is there was no doubt that Lisa's family, and especially her mom, Christine, were always present at city events, and her dad, Daniel, is here tonight. Her mom, always that quiet, calming presence, watching with pride her overachiever daughter. Mom, always there to represent the grounding influence of family, with her presence letting her know that they were always there. To have your family as a net to catch you when you fall, to know the confidence and love for you are always there no matter what happens. This becomes a person's quiet strength and love. It is the stability that helps to make hard decisions and travel a tough road. We are here tonight to celebrate the positive, to honor a person who committed a tremendous part of her young career to work for a city, devoting so much of her energy and talent. Let's celebrate together tonight. We know this city will always be with you, Lisa. And the lessons learned here will guide you in whatever you choose to do. On behalf of the Board of Directors and the staff at FATV, it is my pleasure to present you with the Boulder Award, given for outstanding contributions to civic life through the use of public communications. To former Mayor, City of Fitchburg, the Honorable Mayor Lisa Su Fun Wong.
What a great excuse to be back in Fitchburg. So first, let me begin by answering the frequently asked questions. The first is, do I miss being mayor? And my response is, a little bit, vote for Steve. The second question I get asked is, do I miss Fitchburg? Tremendously so. I will honor and accept any excuse to come back. I really miss being on FATV. I really miss being in the city. I love doing the talk show circuit. And I've been doing it even well before I was mayor. I remember being on Politically Speaking with Ralph Romano. Everybody remember that? And Donna DeShane. But now I have a little bit more time to take up bowling, so just letting you know that if you're looking for guest bowlers, I'm available. So let me just say that, I actually was sort of going to reminisce on Design at 639 and hang out with Jen in my house drinking vodka. She wasn't going to mention it, but I was. Or campaigning in high heels around the city. It's just been so tremendous. I've spent almost my entire adult life in Fitchburg. And I have to tell you, I wouldn't have spent it any other place. I've had so much fortune thanks to my parents, Daniel and Christina Wong. I know you thought that they were my brother and sister. This is actually my parents here who... So they immigrated from China to the United States to give their kids a better life. And after being raised here and educated here, I took off. And I've been able to live in different places around the world, Sydney, Wyoming, of all places. But I remember within the first few weeks of arriving into Fitchburg, in which I had signed a 3-month contract, I knew that this was a place I wanted to stay. Been all over the world, but there is something very, very special and very unique about the city of Fitchburg, and it's because of all of you. It's no surprise that Fitchburg Access TV is a wonderful organization because it is made up of wonderful people doing wonderful things, and I thank you for that. That has made my life in Fitchburg so much greater, so much richer, and you've really brought a voice to the people of Fitchburg. And I think that my fellow politicians can tell, Fitchburg really needs that voice. It needs strong people advocating because there's so much need here. And because of Fitchburg Access TV, whether it's the ice storm or it's other issues, we are really at the forefront of representing our city and communicating the important issues that our city is facing to the rest of the world and then making a significant change. I don't know if you know this, but I was also voted second most bashful in high school. So how do I know? I was yearbook editor, so I was in charge, but I was counting the votes. And so close to being most bashful. And even in college, I didn't really speak up that much. And it was in Fitchburg that I actually found my voice. And it was on FATV that I was able to broadcast my voice. And for that, I will be forever grateful. So I'm not surprised that FATV is the one to give me a bigger rock than my husband. But I know he doesn't mind because he knew the deal from the beginning, that he would have to share my heart with Fitchburg and all of you. Thank you so much for the honor.